have to be in costume, in character, on the set, in front of the camera.
I'm in conversation with the dream girl, the magical Alia Bhatt. So what gives? How come you're so good in darlings?
How come I'm so good at darlings? How to give this answer? I don't know what to say. I try now.
If you had to meet your character Badru on a rainy night, what would you tell?
Oh, I would give her a big hug. And I would ask her to make me an omelette because she makes them very well. Yeah, and I would just tell her that she's wonderful and she deserves to be happy.
How do you pick on such a? Is it alien to you, like this kind of milieu and this the kind of emotionally vulnerable character? How did you find empathy with Badru?
I think, see, as an audience, when we watch a movie, how do we empathize with that character? If it's well written or it's a well written story and it's all flowing, we empathize while watching. So similarly, I empathize while hearing the narration and while living that character. You feel for the character because it's so well written and it's so well etched out. So I think a lot of the work happens for an actor when the writing is so beautiful and so, tight and so clear. And this world, in the heart of Bombay, in Baikala, I've played a girl that comes from Dharavi before in Gully Boy, and now I'm playing a girl that comes from Baikala. So I've kind of really, then I was also in Kamatipura, so I'm really hopping around the city of Mumbai. But it all comes to life when it's all kind of explored so beautifully on the written, on the page. And then the imagination can just run wild.
Alia, how you have a knack for choosing some amazing scripts. I remember Zoya calling you this complete
the octopus. Yes.
Yeah. How are you so canny when it comes to, like, what is it about a script that it's a debutant director's film, and we all of us have reservations about working with a debutant because we say they don't have a reference point. Often a lot of them have not assisted a known unknown director. So now, for example, something like this, do you rely on your gut, or what was it that said this is the kind of the film I'm going to produce?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. To be honest, I had enough of an instinct with Jasmeet because she had written this script herself. She co-wrote it with Parvez. But the fact that she has written the script and she wants to direct it, again makes me believe that, okay, she knows the world better than anybody else. You take the same script and hand it over to somebody else, there is a loss of a personal connect there because she's lived with the material for so long. That's number one. Number two, she has been a writer for many, many years, assisted, some very, very fine filmmakers. So she's been around, she's got a sense. And I think the next part is that gut and instinct that you're talking about, just through conversation, you understand कि इसको समझ है, इसको understanding है. There's a certain texture and tonality that she's brought to just this world. And mainly the world was so unique, such a unique script and such a surprising script that I was like, yeah, if there's anybody who can do justice to this script, and it'll be wrong for me to be like, give me the script, I'll get somebody else to direct it. Obviously not. Like, I'm not going to do that. And why not? Like, I think that's something that I also need to, as an actor, be able to, after working for so many years, somebody gave me an opportunity when I was a nobody. So I want to be able to also be like, okay, listen, I can support new talent and new directors, creatively produce the film, and also be a part of the film. But yeah, somehow instinctively, I just felt that this would fit right.
Alia, it's a very, I mean, there are a lot of questions that keep my first foremost question is another woman director. You seem to shine under women directors, not that the other directors, whether it's Zoya or whether it's Gauri or whether it's Meghna and now Jasmeet. You think because she was a woman, she was able to understand domestic abuse better and like tell me what is it that separates I mean I hate compartmentalizing, but what
Totally.
is it that separates the women directors from, you know?
See, if
and
you're
what is your chemistry with them?
if you're telling a story of women trying to find their feet in a man's world, then yeah, I think no better than a woman to tell that story. But you never know. A man will also have a very interesting gaze on it. It's all about the level of empathy and understanding that you have as a person. If you're ignorant, then whether you're a woman or a man, sometimes there are ignorant women also who may not understand the situation properly. So I don't think gender has a part to play in it. I think it's definitely your knowledge and understanding of the situation of a certain maybe way people are treated and being aware about it. Yeah. So I think that I can't compartmentalize and say, yeah, there would have, I can definitely say there would have been no better person to direct Darlings than Jasmeet because she wrote it and she created it. But I don't think I can't say there's no better person than a woman to understand, say, violence against women. I don't think that is fair to say because that would be
That's the cliche.
Yeah, that's a bit of a cliche and that's not being fair to the men. And if we don't want men to be unfair to us, why should we be unfair to them? You know, it works both ways.
You have a combative relationship with all your mothers, whether it's Gully Boy, whether it is, you know, Darlings, and whether it was Dear Zindagi, and also some way points out to mental health and all of that. Would you say somewhere she didn't take a stand, Badru didn't take a stand and she was being too led by her husband? Like I wanted to slap her in a couple of places because she was just letting him just easily, you know,
Absolutely.
say,
Absolutely. Even I wanted to slap her in a couple of places. But I think the point
Which
was
places?
I don't mean actually slap because we're talking about not being violent here. I mean like you want to just like wake somebody up. But I think that as an audience you should feel. You should feel that way because you are 10 steps ahead of her, which means that okay, your emotional and your moral compass of like whatever, not things not going right is very, very correct. But clearly, the kind of person that she is, she's an eternal optimist. And she's assuming that it takes time for people to change. And it's like it'll work out eventually. And that you need to give them a chance. She doesn't want to see. She's brushing it under the carpet. And in fact, what usually mothers would say, you again assume the cliche is the mothers would say seh le or mat chhod ke aa and all of that. Here it's totally opposite. Shamshu is saying all the opposite things to her, which again I find so beautiful because it's honest, it's real, it's daring, and it's what you need to hear in a situation like that. So yeah, I think as an audience, if you're feeling these things about Badru, it's great.
What was it for me? That turning point was that scene where you're you know, sort of abusing him, and then she said ladki thi. What was going on in your mind when you did that scene? That and the previous hospital scene, like was there like a moment of epiphany? What was there?
See, that the hospital scene is just mourning loss, in my opinion. It's just you're mourning. You're coming to terms with it, and you're not really coming to terms with it either. You're just like mourning. In that scene, I was like, she's trying. She's also irritated that he's bringing this side out of. He's bringing this side out of her. Like she's becoming this person who wants to inflict pain on him, which is something that she doesn't want to maybe do actually, but she wants to do it because she's so angry and she's so vengeful. So she's still you can say the wound is still raw, very, very raw at that time. So maybe it was actually, you can say the subtext of it is that if she hadn't, she could also, matlab, if she was not strong enough, she would maybe, if he manipulates her, she could even slip in that moment because that's how raw her emotion is. But obviously she doesn't. But again, I feel like all of these things are so subjective to each person, but this is the way I was interpreting it.
What would be you had this amazing chemistry with Shefali, like during the readings and all. Just take me behind the scenes. Now, when was that magical moment when you all sort of came on the same page?
See, I think individually we're also all actors who are very, very, have our own process. Vijay, myself, Shefali, Roshan. But it's the director's vision that brings you all under one tone or one roof, you can say. So we did our first reading. It was nice, but you never get a sense in a room with a script and a table. You know, that's not going to happen. You have to be in costume, in character, on the set, in front of the camera. That's when it really gets real. But I don't remember the moment where it just felt very like, okay, I think we're on to something definitely very real because we were really committing to the material. I don't remember which moment that was. But I remember one day going back home feeling extremely happy and satisfied with the day of work. And like, it was literally like we had worked 12 hours and I wanted to already go back on the set. Like I was like, oh, I can't wait to get back to set. That's always a good indication of work going well. But you never want to call it, you never want to say it, you never want to jinx it. So you always just feel it and then you just like hope to feel it again.
One line for your actors, Shefali, co-actors Shefali, Vijay and Roshan. What would be the advice you would give them?
No, I wouldn't give them any advice, please.
No, as for the characters.
Oh.
For the characters.
Oh, I don't know. That's a very tough question you asked me, Jitesh. Hamza, though, I would say, like,
take a chill pill.
Like, take a chill pill, go, like, get some therapy. You know, because you can, like, really help, like, it, whatever. But I mean, I don't know if guy of his is difficult, you know, where he comes from, that he'll really indulge in therapy. So I don't know what advice I would give him. Roshan, I mean, Zulfi's character, I would say, I would not say anything to him. He's so lovely, such a good human being. Because he wants to be a writer. So I would say, like, don't be so scared about like exploring he's on to something quite cool. You know, like horror comedies do quite well. We just had one do really, really well. So he should write a horror comedy. And Shamshu, I would say, I think I would give her the advice to let go of a lot of things.
Anger.
Anger
and resentment.
Yeah, just let go. Yeah.
You know, this is probably a very alien character, especially somebody who is going through emotional and physical abuse. I mean, and it's, you know, the kind of mind games the husband plays. As a, you know, privileged actor, you know, is there anyone that you've come, what sort of reference points did you have?
No reference point. I didn't have any reference point. And that sometimes people get very confused and ask me this question being like, you must have spoken to someone. So I'm like, no, we have met somebody.
You've not met a Badru in your life.
I'm sure I have, but I don't know. I think, yeah, I did, but not like that person was my reference point.
Yeah, but okay, let me put it this way. If there were friends who were going through emotional abuse or in relationships which are toxic, what is the kind of advice that you would? What would be your instant this thing?
My instant advice would always be to anybody would be to get out. Like if somebody in my circle was experiencing that, I would be like, get the hell out. Like just walk out the door. There's no need for you to turn back. There's no room for understanding. That's my advice. If somebody were to ask me that. But a lot of people don't want to hear that advice. They need to reach that point by themselves.
Is there a marked difference between the, like I said, the la dida privileged actor and the counting the money producer? Was there like a conflict?
No, because I am always going to be a creative person first. So money तो मुझे समझ ही नहीं आता है. I don't get it. It takes me a while to understand it, and I just prefer not thinking about it, which is why luckily I had Red Chilies, to partner with, and they handled that. Gaurav, Venki, they all handled that like beautifully well, and I didn't need to get into it. Because on set, though, I'm an actor only. And even otherwise, I think for me, it's always, listen, the film is what matters. Everything is about the film. Everything is about the film. Everything is about the film. Nothing else matters.
Okay, now I have to ask you some personal questions. I know you can't talk about your Hollywood film, but your first film, you worked as a pregnant actor, and with Gal Gadot and all that, they have got an experience. How did it feel? Were you scared? Were you intimidated? What was the experience like? You had to finish off, you had to wrap up the entire schedule in one shot.
Yeah, but that was always the schedule. They did have to change a few things around and try and pull up a lot of the work and make sure that I'm done by a certain date, because I also had to come back here, but that was always the schedule. They were really accommodating extremely, and it makes me feel very, very grateful, because again, I was shooting my first action movie actually, and there was a stunt and everything, but they all knew and they were all very, very safe, and I had doubles, this, that and all, and it was all made to feel very comforted, and that's all that matters when you're especially, doing it for the first time. But yeah, it was a really fun experience. And in fact, when I called up Gal and I told her, I said, I'm pregnant and I'm coming. And she's like, oh my God, that's going to be amazing. And she had such a lovely reaction. And she was like, her husband was with her, Euron, and Euron was like, this is a good omen. This is a good thing. That means like everything's going to go really well. And it's lovely for the movie. So they were so lovely, so supportive. And yeah, but even, Karan also, I was in the middle of shooting for Rocky or Rani. So even right now, I've come back and I've gone to the Rocky or Rani set, and Karan is always like, Alia, please watch your step, which he always does, but now he's doing it even more. So even our production over here, even they had to deal with it, and they all angles correctly and this and that. But everybody's so lovely and so excited and so supportive. So it's great.
Marriage happened quickly. The baby also is on the way. Did you have time to process being married and, the baby coming? Did you have time to sort of process, like, what are the highs of being married? Usually we could ask this question to a Nahi Naveli, but you're like a veteran now.
I don't know. I don't know whether I would have to process, because actually it feels the same. It feels very similar. But of course, something is different now. There's a different dynamic. We're no longer girlfriend, boyfriend. But more than anything, we're going to be parents. So that dynamic is just like, there's so much love, and there's so much detail, and there's just some new beautiful energy which I just can't explain. Which again, I feel like touching my head and touching wood and touching everything around me.
Touch wood.
But yeah, the main thing is I've not had the time, man, to hang out with him, to be with him. Where have I had the time? I got married, I ran off to a schedule, he ran off to another schedule, then I left for London for 2 months, then he was somewhere, now I am here promoting, then he was promoting, now he's gone for shoot, and we are not meeting. So now finally, I'm going to take a holiday with him after like, I don't know, and I'm like, that's what I'm really looking forward to, because I'm like, I've not had a moment to sit down with him at all.
Would you advocate living into everyone before you get married?
Yeah, if you can, why not? Like, I think it's great. You get, you get used to each other, you get comfortable, you build so many memories without the pressure and that baggage of like, shadi karni hai, ye karni hai. I think to each his own. Everybody has. We were actually going to get married, which is why we planned to move in together. But then the pandemic happened, so that planning couldn't stop. So we're like, okay, chalo, we'll at least go ahead with, moving in, and we'll figure out the rest. Let this all settle down. So actually, we had planned it like that only.
Motherhood and all, it's all very well. But sometimes you think you will also be a mom, like say your mom was to you. Do you ever think, what kind of mom would I be?
Yeah, I think my mom's been a great example of everything to me. I have zero complaints of the kind of mom she's been all my life. So she's a beautiful example. So of course, the thing is, obviously you will try and be as good, lovely, perfect as possible, but there's no such thing as being a perfect parent. And I've been reading all the books and everything says the same thing. But yeah, I think you just hope for the best and you just try and be as honest and as real as possible.
So how did it feel? Like, you were obviously in a relationship when you were doing the film. So did it feel sort of queasy, funny, challenged, combative? How did it feel?
See, listen, we are all, the vision for Brahmastra is so much bigger than any of us as actors or as relationship. तो हाँ वो हो रहा था behind the scenes and on the side and with the film and all of that. But at the end of the day, the vision is so much larger and there's so much at stake. Like there's so much that you have to give, that is all that matters when we were on set and when we're working towards Ayan's vision. So everything else personal takes a bit of a backseat when you're on set. Of course, there are moments of like when a song is playing, Kesariya's playing, and I'm looking at Ranbir, or he's looking at me. It's great because you're living like a romantic life with the music playing in the background, which only happens in the movies, but you're actually living it out for real. So all those layers are great. But yeah, the whole experience of shooting for Brahmastra has been unlike any shooting experience I've ever had in my life. And yeah, the hope is that it all comes together.
Are you a better wife or a better girlfriend?
I'm a great human being. So I'm
beyond that.
Both. I would say both.
I know you're empathetic and very caring and all of that.
I'm lovely.
Too lovely.
Yeah.
Coming to Darlings, how did such a dark subject grip you? Like, it could have gone either ways. What was it like? Every actor has a moment in the film where said, I want to do this film because of this. Did you have a moment, and did you have a lot of, okay, let me send the script to Karan, let me send the script to Ranbir, let me do 100 things, like the usual Alia Bhatt things?
No, I never sent my script to, in fact, I never send my script to Karan, Ranbir or anybody. I always try and take the decision by myself, because at the end of the day, it's your instinct and your instinct all the way. Whether it was a film that I should produce, I took advice from my father and Abhi Varman and one more person, Aman Gill. These are three people I sent the script to, three different people. One was director, father, producer, and then one who's of course a producer as well, and a good friend. And they all loved the script. So I was like, chalo, I'm seeing something in it. Because you're a little nervous and all of that. So I'm seeing something in it. And I asked the producing thing and they all echoed that and said, yes, yes, yes. That's it. Something about it just worked, yeah. The script at one point just went like tuck. Like it just flew for me. And so did everybody else. They said the same thing. And yeah, then there was no, then I don't get scared. I mean, I've done a film like Urta Punjab that is like really dark, that character, that world, and all of that. But at the end of the day, it tells a story of hope. You know, there's a positive message in the end. So I think for me, that's what matters, the positive thing at the end.
Tell me how have Mahesh and Sony reacted to your pregnancy? You know, have they become like over and through and completely this thing?
Yeah,
Or they
my
are like,
father too started dancing like that and all of that, being like, I'm going to be a grandfather and everything. So he was dancing. My mother, of course, first thing was health and safety and like, you have to do this and you have to do that and all the usual. I think they're my parents, yeah, of course, they'll be only thrilled.
and take me lastly through your marriage. What was going? It's all so rushed. What was going? It was, I mean, it was magical and all of that. It was beautiful. What was going through your head? Could you register? Oh shit! I'm actually getting married. Like
Yeah,
when
I
you
could.
look back.
See, the thing is, if once you've clocked and made the decision already, it's not like I made the decision last minute. The decision was made very long ago. And then, of course, when like he proposed to me, you know, which was in the month of January and everything, that was in Masai Mara, and when we went for our holiday, that was where it all. That's when it actually started processing and changing. Okay, oh yeah, now this is going to happen. Like this is all going to change, and everything's going to like, oh, okay, this exciting adventure coming up ahead. That was the feeling. There was like, oh no, so much to process. All that was not happening. I was like, excitement, adventure on the way. That's it.
And when you marry into such a large family like the Kapoors, you literally marry into the. Has anything changed? I mean, besides the Christmas and all the parties, has anything changed?
No, yeah. Like I said, there's been acceptance and warmth from the very beginning with the family. We've been together for so many years now, so nothing changes. It's the same.